Here it comes. Oh, my goodness. Have you seen anything like that?
They're going to go nuts when he hits this thing. And now it comes down to one putt for the win. Is it his time?
Sorry.
What's up, everybody? It's Cameron at the Pitchmark Collective. We got Teddy. We got two special guests here. We got Paul Cleveland, Skyler Davis. Teddy cannot keep his laughs in. He's the most innocent person I've ever met.
So
Guys, how we doing?
When you say, like, okay, everybody don't say anything, and then you have to be quiet. That's the worst timing.
It's like when you're sitting in your high school class and your teacher's telling you to be quiet and you're just sitting there like this, trying not to snort as loud as you've ever snorted because the guy next to you is making you laugh.
Yes,
you
exactly.
You just make eye contact with your buddy and you see your buddy laughing, then you just lose it.
Yep, exactly. Unfortunately, it's been way too long since I've had that feeling because I'm practically an old man now, but that's okay. Teddy, Florida man in the wild. What's the background behind there? You've been acting crazy down there in Florida?
No, we have a tropical storm going on right now. Business as usual, though. Went to work, drove on the interstate, ran some errands, came back. That's pretty much it.
What you're saying is you're brave for going out in a tropical storm and living your life.
I mean, brave or just like didn't want to take a sick day. It wasn't really worth it. It was bad, but it wasn't like terrible.
You could have taken a sick day and just sat on the couch and played NCAA 25.
Yes. I don't want to get in. I can go on for a minute about NCAA football right now. I won't, though, because it's going to be very boring for everybody else.
Maybe that's a you and I podcast. We just sit there and talk 25. Gotcha.
Yes.
Why don't you give us a little intro of our guest here? You brought them on, you know them, and we'll just get right into it,
Yeah, so Paul and Skyler, I've probably known you guys, 10 years? Skyler,
close.
Maybe, pretty close. Paul, shortly after.
Yep.
We all went to University of Florida together, played on the club golf team, and played a bunch of rounds. Skyler is a experienced caddie. Cam, you and he can probably have another podcast just on caddy.
I've got some experience myself after this weekend, guys.
Yeah. So you guys got that, and then he's caddying for Paul. Paul is living the glamorous life of trying to make it on mini tours. So we figured this would be pretty interesting, a little different than what we usually do, and provide some insight on what that's like.
Yeah. Sure. So Paul, Skyler, thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. Teddy, you did a great intro there, but if there's anything you guys want to add before we get into questions and conversation, now's the time. So Skyler, you keep taking your hat off to get Teddy to laugh.
So Skyler's, for the people that can't see this or are listening, Skyler's 17 years old. But he is bald, very bald. So there's that. No, Skyler, what's your background? I mean, you and I met. You just recently went to, or just recently started at the University of Florida when you and I met. Walked into Dick's Sporting Goods, bought a driver, and then had played golf a handful of times at that point.
Yeah. I got into the game right as I got to college. My father tried his hand at professional golf, so I was around it at a young age. But when I got to UF, that's when I really gave it a go. Met you probably 2 months into freshman year.
Awful.
And, it was bad. It was really bad.
That's
you tried
horrible timing on your part.
And $500 on a driver, but I was adamant.
Yeah.
And then we kept in touch. You got me a job there with you and worked together for a bit. Started playing lots of golf, and here we are.
Who wins in a 18-hole match play?
Teddy every day, every single day of the week.
All right.
It depends like what we're playing. Skyler can play some good rounds, but it's just, those, Cam, you probably play with those people. Like there's just that one guy that you play with, you could just never beat, it's like that.
It is very much like that.
As an 11 handicap, there's a lot of people that actually beat me that I play consistently with. And there's also guys that I put myself in a group with. I'm like, I'm playing with y'all because now I'm not the worst golfer in the group. So
Mm.
you gotta set yourself up for success, you know.
To Skyler's credit, he's one of the few people. I mean, I'm 26 years old now. I've been involved in the game of golf for basically about 20 years of my life. He's one of the few people I know that within 18 months of picking up a club, he was already breaking
Yes.
85 consistently.
Yeah.
So it was
Correct.
pretty insane to see the development that quick. You know, we've all got those buddies that they've been playing for 4 or 5 years and they still can't break 100 or 90 or anything like that.
Mhm.
But now, unfortunately,
And he'll make those 30-foot par putts
Yeah.
where you're
if
just
it's-
like,
if it's outside of 10 feet for par, just give it to him.
yeah,
locked in. I
It's
gotcha.
unreal.
If it's inside 10 feet for birdie,
No
or
shot.
no,
He's liable to 3-jack
not
from
for
10
those,
feet
but
for birdie.
I
Got it.
can't tell you how many times I've seen this man miss greens and then chip it to like 15 feet and then just make the par putt.
They're
Like
the
it's
round
like
savers.
it's just nothing.
You gotta keep
Never
going.
doubt.
But unfortunately, Skyler's more on the sandbagging side now, and he wants like 7 to 10 shots, and then he's just going to drop like a 74, 75 on you. So
To be fair, I had 5 birdies 3 days ago and still shot 80. So
he was 4 under.
Very
He was
possible.
4 under after 5 holes.
Oh no! Did you birdie the first?
The wheels come off
Oh, that
this.
was it. I wanted to text you immediately and be like, the
He
round is
He
derailed.
didn't have a par on the card until the 6th hole.
Oh no!
Teddy
Yeah.
lives by the
He knew it was
first-
gonna be a
first
bad.
hole birdie. Yeah.
First hole birdie
Bad
is
demon.
not.
I
what you-
tried to miss it. It snuck in. It's a bad demon, but I wouldn't call it too much of sandbagging if you're going to make 5 birdies and still shoot 80.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Honestly, it's a success for me if I make 5 birdies in a round because I honestly don't think I've ever made 5 birdies in a round. I think I'm capped at 4. So,
Pretty high.
I believe in the first hole birdie as well because I typically follow it up with at least a double in true Cam 11 handicap fashion. So,
And that might not be the birdie's fault. The first hole birdie. That's just you were going to make a double anyway.
it's never the golfer's fault, Teddy. That's what I live by. All right.
That's the best thing about the game of golf is you always have something else to blame it on.
Yep,
Caddy,
yep.
club, wind,
Mhm.
hole, anything.
Something bad happens, not me. Something great, all me. Come on.
Right. It's the only way to keep you sane and coming back.
Mhm.
Such a crazy game we love so much.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Paul, how about you? Just a little bit more background on your journey. And you said you've been in around the game of golf for 20 years now as a 26-year-old. So sounds like your love started pretty early.
For sure. No, I was very lucky that my dad got me into it from a very young age. Yeah, I just would remember my dad's the classic weekend warrior where, you know, anytime he gets, he could spend it on the range or putting green or anything like that. And he works the normal 9 to 5. But I just remember being a really young kid and seeing my dad go to the driving range. And I was probably around 4 or 5 years old. And I would ask like, hey, like, can I come to the driving range with you? And of course he would say yes. So he'd drag me around. And pretty soon he recognized that he didn't really need to kind of keep me entertained. The game of golf kept me very entertained. So grew up playing golf basically my whole life. And then started playing competitively just kind of at the junior level. I grew up in the state of Colorado, probably around 12, 13 years old. Played on the high school team on the varsity level. And then it was super random how I got to the University of Florida. But I was really grateful that I got to play on the club team at the University of Florida, and that was a great experience. And then after college, didn't really know what I wanted to do with life, so kind of found myself in tech sales for about 3 years. Had an overall awesome experience in tech sales, but about last year when I was 25, I was just thinking about life overall, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, hey, if I ever get to 50, 60, 70 years old, and I look back on life and I ask myself the question, do I wish I would have played professional golf? It was a resounding yes. So I kind of dropped everything, made a big, 180 in terms of a career in life, and decided to give, the professional career a run. So I turned professional in about September of 2023 and just been playing on the mini tours ever since.
Very cool. Very cool. We kind of talking about this beforehand, on our what Teddy and I call our pre-show meeting, where we just banter back and forth for a few minutes.
Right.
You guys are in Iowa right now.
We are.
Why are
The
you in
beautiful town
Iowa?
of Okoboji.
Okoboji. It's got a big lake, guys. For the listeners. What brought you to Iowa? What are you guys doing there?
So I'm currently playing on the Dakotas Tour, and the Dakotas Tour is just a professional mini tour that's as you can imagine, based around the Midwest, North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, Iowa. So this is just the first event for my Dakotas Tour season, but the Dakotas Tour has been going on for the past 1 or 2 months.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha.
Are you privy? I just read about like the dude that was like quote unquote cheating a little bit on the Dakotas Tour. Have you heard or seen anything about that?
I haven't heard
Didn't
this.
know that.
So
Educate us.
so I guess this dude, so for some of the Dakota Tour events, they do like a pro-am style, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So walk me through, I guess, the scoring. Because the amateurs that you play with, they're the ones that keep the score. Is that correct?
This event that is not a pro, but the next one I'll be playing in is a pro, and your
Okay.
guess is as good as mine. I think that's
So
that might be how it's happened.
From what I read, the amateurs will keep the score because I think you're the only pro in the group and you just play with 3 or 4 amateurs. They'll keep the score and turn it in. You all might like discuss before like everybody signs the card, but the pro is not supposed to handle his own card. And I guess there were several instances where he would take the card from the group of amateurs. Erase marks were seen. And like he was like the leading like money list guy for the last like 2 years.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yes.
No, news.
So I believe they just DQ'd him. I think I don't know if it's indefinite or just like while they investigate what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, there's room on the top spot now. Is basically what I'm getting at.
There you go.
And also, there is a way to cheat if you want to.
Sure. I mean, it's the classic Arnold Palmer quote, where it's like, you know, the best tool you can have in the bag is a good eraser on the pencil. So
Sure.
Or I probably butchered it, but something along those lines. Close enough.
We'll put it. Yeah, I think
got
that's
the
what's on
gist of
the
that.
Yeah, just paraphrase. Arnold Palmer, rest in peace.
So I know the Dakotas Tour is like one of the more not popular, but most competitive mini tours. Have you done any of the other ones like in Florida as well? Because what are some of the ones that you all have been on recently?
Yeah. So from word of mouth, that's what I've also heard from other professionals is that the Dakotas Tour is one of the more competitive ones, and it's also the one of the mini tours that has better purse and better payouts as well too. So it attracts better players and all that kind of stuff as well. In my experience, I've played on the minor league golf tour, which is in Southeast Florida. Just basically kind of everywhere, kind of like Jupiter, West Palm Beach Gardens, a little bit south, like Davie, Fort Lauderdale, kind of all that area. From my understanding, I think there's also another mini tour in Florida. I think it's called like the Sunshine Tour or something like that. But I think that's more
Sunshine or Moonlight. I've heard those before as well.
Yeah,
I think those are a little bit closer to like Orlando. I think that's
exactly like Orlando, Tampa, maybe West Coast, like Fort Myers, somewhere in there. I haven't played on any of those yet. A lot of the minor league golf tour in South Florida is just kind of 1, maybe 2-day events, where it's kind of you just you go out, and if you shoot 64, you're likely in a playoff with 1 or 2 other guys. I've played on the All Pro Tour, which I really enjoy the All Pro Tour events in terms of the mini tour. They're run really well, good purses, and from my experience, also the most competitive as well too, where those are typically 3 or 4 day events. And again, you'll see the winning score at anywhere from 20 under to 24 under after 3 or 4 days. I've played on the Asher Tour, which is kind of like the West Coast mini tour. So that's kind of most California, some Nevada, a little bit Arizona, kind of a lot of those golfers. Which again, really good experience overall. Just the purses aren't quite as good, and the entry fees tend to be a little bit higher. So a lot of players view it as not a good return on investment. And for myself, I live in like the Palm Beach Gardens area, so it's just kind of a hassle also to get out to like events to like California, stuff
long
like that.
flights and
Other than that, in the summer, try to play a decent amount of like state opens as well too. Like try to qualify for the Colorado Open, like. Cam, the Colorado Open, how kind of competitive it is and how it's a really good purse for a lot of professionals as well too. And then randomly, I play out of Turtle Creek Club, kind of in like the Jupiter area. And I was just putting on the green one day. I met another professional and good friend. His name's Alec. And he grew up in the Dominican, and he kind of told me about like the Dominican mini tour down there as well too. So I've been playing some events in the Dominican Republic.
Pretty sweet.
And it's a really fun mini tour to play on. Lots of good experience. Usually the events are 3 or 4 days. You kind of play at some of the nicest courses in the Dominican. Like you play at Corrales, you play at Punta Espada, you play at Punta Cana. So a lot of good golf courses. They've been very welcoming to me overall. They, most of it will be in Spanish, so you kind of have to learn or know a little bit of Spanish here and there, but they've been very welcoming to my gringo Spanish, and, everybody also does speak.
Is that Skyler's job, is to be the translator as well?
I was going to say, Skyler knows Spanish.
International?
He definitely looks like he
Right.
knows Spanish. So,
Well, thankfully, they're pretty strict on having their own caddies at these courses. So I don't get to go close. And it's a decent thing that I'm not lugging the bag around in 100 degrees down there. So
yeah,
That's fair.
good point.
How many events do, like, Skyler, have you caddied most of the events for Paul, or does
lot
it
of
just
them.
kind of depend
it just
on
depends
like
on
location?
Yeah, it certainly depends. I did one of the Asher tours down in January, All Pro Tour in Texas. The qualifiers, a lot of the mini tours, like the minor league golf tour, because that's close to us. We both live in Palm Beach Gardens. If we got to drive 45 minutes south, we can both do that. Colorado Open, I'm very thankful to stay out with his family in Colorado. So we did the Colorado Open. I'm here now in Iowa with him whenever I can. He's the main guy I do it for. So
Are there any fines or anything, like if you don't rake a bunker
win this
properly, anything like that on any of these mini tours? I've heard
Yeah.
stories about, like, on the Corn Ferry Tour.
Right. Yeah, the Corn Ferry
Where-
Tour. Sure. Yeah, when you miss a footprint in a bunker and somebody takes a picture of it, the next morning you do find out that you have a $300 fine. Yes.
$300.
It was a
That's
$300.
crazy.
Yeah.
Now, did that happen to you, Skyler?
Yes,
Or
yes, that's how I know.
oh, okay.
It did indeed happen to me.
He'll never ever leave a footprint in a bunker again.
I'm very particular now.
Now,
That was
we won't name any names or anything for this player that you caddied for. He did just play in the Olympics, though, Cam.
He did. It was cool. Yeah, good for him. But another thing, if we're bringing up Corn Ferry Tour, to credit the All Pro Tour, one of the guys that we played with the first 2 days was also in our pairing at the Corn Ferry last year in Colorado. So very good, very talented players, good fields. It's a really well-run mini tour.
So what? Well, real quick, just while we're talking about, like, all the different, like, mini tours and stuff, what's kind of like the main difference on, like, a well-run mini tour? Because there's so many, and I feel like a lot have, like, just kind of disappeared, like, probably 10 years ago, and it's kind of reduced the number. But, like, what's kind of like the main difference between, like, a well-run event and just one that you're like, yeah, I might play in one more of these, but I'm kind of done? Like, what sort of happens on those bad ones? Is it organization? Like,
Yeah, it really is a lot of organization. On kind of the ones that you hear about that are maybe only around for like half the year or a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of stuff just kind of falls through the cracks where, you show up at a course and, they maybe don't have like tee times out, or, maybe they kind of just, you show up there and they don't give you kind of like different like rates for like professionals or practice round and stuff like that. Like, I know it sounds like kind of like small stuff, but within the world of mini tour, like, if you're trying to kind of make a living through the game of golf, like a lot of this small stuff does add up. So I think what separates the All Pro and apart from the competition, which, like I said, far and away the best mini tour competition I've played on thus far, is just the organization, where they have a pretty big staff. Like, I think a staff of like 10 to 12 people, of each person has their own individual role, their assignments and all that kind of stuff. And they're really doing a good job to put on a good 3 or 4 day event for a lot of professionals.
it's not just like one dude who's also playing in it, but is basically collecting all the monies
I
and
think
It's not
that's
club golf.
sending out the emails.
that stuff you hear about a couple. You just have the mini tours where it's like, one dude or, 2 dudes own it, or they buy this mini tour and then they just go set out a schedule. And then, I've heard even some like financial issues where like they like, don't pay players. Like if like you finish within the money or something like that. And then some people don't even get the money out like 3 weeks after or anything like that. So, it's very official with the All Pro. And then some of the other, but I think that's kind of one of the nice things about is just playing in a lot of these mini tour events and meeting a lot of professionals on the road, is you kind of, get to hear just other people's perspective and hear about their experiences of you hear some crazy stories of guys that, have played on some of these other mini tours and have had experiences like that where, they've been like promised a certain amount of thousands of dollars if they win.
Right.
They've been, scammed or something like that. Or, they hear of like, sometimes they show up to the tee and then absolutely they learn that they're playing with like two other guys and then like some amateurs, something like that. So it's just fun.
What are some of like the age ranges on some of these guys? Because like obviously I know for like the All Pro Tour, because like where you guys are in Jupiter, there's a lot of like pros that have like competed for a while and maybe kind of lost it trying to get it back. So I know there's like a decent amount of well-known players and also like up and comers that are playing in these. But like what's the typical like age range on some of these events? Is it like all over the place, or is it like fresh out of college mostly, mid-30s? Like what are we talking about?
I would say it's probably in between like the fresh out of college to like the low to mid-30s. I haven't met too many professionals playing a lot of these mini tours that you find in kind of like the 35 and above. I've probably only met like 3 or 4, but it's a lot of kind of guys similar to my situation where you're either kind of fresh out of college like 3 or 4 years and you're still kind of trying to get some sort of PGA Tour status or anything like that, or your guys that kind of like maybe played college golf 3 or 4 years ago, then worked in the corporate world for 3 or 4 years, and then maybe you turn professional or something like that. So you're probably like in your like mid to late 20s, early 30s by now.
To be fair, you did probably get out of tech sales at the right time. Just want to point that out.
Fair.
Probably made the right decision.
It probably depends on what he was selling. That's what I do for my full-time job. Is I work for a tech company in sales. So
nice.
We're doing all right still.
No, the grind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're doing like well, we won't get into it. we probably shouldn't.
So this event that you guys got this week in Iowa, what what's the, like, for lack of better, like what's the format? Where's it at? What course are you playing at? How many people are in the field? Give us some detail there.
So it's called Brooks Country Club or Brooks Golf Club. At the moment, the last I checked, and they hadn't closed registration because they have another event that they're hosting today. We were at 31 guys, so not that big of a field. It's probably increased when, after the event today, guys driving up here. 2-day event, just, going out there, 31 guys trying to beat 30 of them. So
yeah. Just try to make as many birdies as possible.
That's really what it's going to be at this course, especially. It's very short. The greens are not that difficult. It's soft conditions. Now tomorrow is going to be a little chilly, very windy, so we'll see. But it's a short game paradise. I mean, you got to be dialed in.
What are some of the yardages that you guys are typically playing on some of these mini tour events?
If it's like all pro and kind of 3 or 4 day events, it'll be your standard like. Most of it's north of 7,000 yards.
Right.
Like Skyler was saying, this course is a bit shorter, so this course probably tops out at like 67, maybe 68.
Oh wow,
Jesus!
So really short. Like it's
short.
A lot of like, I mean, the opening hole you can hit 7-iron, 60
Bob
degree.
wedge.
Like
Yeah.
so it's like, but yeah, it's just your standard 7,000 yards. I haven't played any of the beasts yet, or just I don't think there's anything that like they try not to like. Put you back like 7,400 or anything like that.
Yeah, because that's a long day.
Exactly.
I mean, for anybody.
Exactly.
Well, when you have the 4-iron dispersion that you have, it's no big deal.
Well, easy now.
He's a 4-wood guy now, anyways. He's not.
Oh, that's right.
I am a big 4-wood guy. Big 4-wood guy.
Forgot about that one.
Srixon, if I remember correctly.
The 4-wood is a Callaway. It is an Epic Flash.
Maybe
Tour
Bernie
issue.
had the Srixon. I'm sorry.
Maybe my irons are Srixon though. Still
using that club discount.
No, if you could get one again, that would be great because I am due. It's been a long time.
I'm pretty sure they got rid of that when they realized how often we were using it.
Oh, dang it, Cam. We were able to, like, the club team at UF had a deal with Srixon in Cleveland, and you could get, what was it, 40% off that we got?
You just go on the website and use that code.
Well, you just emailed like one of the guys from, because like all the club teams are a part of like this organization. So you just email like your rep basically. And it's like, hey, can I get a code? Like I'm gonna get whatever, and I'll just send you a code. And so we would try to like buddy up with anybody else, and just do like a larger
Do an
order.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, for a while it was pretty nice. You could get wedges, golf balls.
Yeah.
I know I got several sets of wedges just with that 40% off code. Well after I stopped playing in these.
How have we
club
gotten orders for this Teddy guy for 7 years still?
Well, and I'm pretty sure the first like 2 years
Yeah.
after, like I still had the dude's email, and like he didn't question it.
Yeah.
I would just be like, "Hey, Mike, can I get another code?" And he was like, "Ah, here you go."
Just good business, Mr. Rickson.
So Teddy,
It really
Teddy's
was.
business.
Yeah.
It really was. So the Skyler, as far as how many caddies are showing up to these minor league events?
It
It's probably
hasn't
not a lot, right?
It hasn't been a ton. Florida Open, the Florida Open qualifying, there were several. Minor league, I'm the only one. This week we're gonna find out. In the All Pro, there were several.
A couple.
Astro Tour, there were a couple, but to be honest with you, the Astro Tour was mostly like parents.
Did you guys just role play as like you as Paul's dad?
It might work.
You might pull that off. Yeah.
It could definitely work.
Yes.
It could absolutely work.
So it is a little strange being one of the only guys doing it.
Yeah.
But it's still good to be out here. It's still good to get the reps. It's something I want to do. It does not hurt to be out here getting reps, even on a minor tour.
Yeah, for sure.
Seeing different areas, learning the different grasses, the whole shebang. I mean, it's good. It's just a good experience.
And maybe when you get proficient enough in Spanish, you can go to the Dominican Republic with Paul as well.
El cielo grande.
Right, exactly.
You're gonna have to.
Let me just
We're
put a
not-
translation.
translate that
his
real
nickname is
quick.
Big Sky, and in Spanish, it's that translates to El
Gotcha.
cielo grande.
So in these mini tours, it might vary, right? Forgive my ignorance. Is it carrying only? Can you use a push cart? Say, Paul, if it was just you, or do you got to carry your own bag?
Yeah, I can use a push cart if it's just me.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of the mini tours, they even like encourage you to take carts. Like it's kind of included with like the fee and everything like that as well too. So, yeah, it just depends.
Skylar, do you use the push cart?
I have not used the push cart. At the Asher Tour, I did hop on the cart because that was, but that was a brutal walk in California. But
Paul, do you dock his pay anytime he hops on a cart?
No, I don't dock his pay, but I think it's one of the funny words if
it's hard to dock zero.
for the golfers that yeah, that's true.
It's like
You
that
have to buy
meme. Wait,
dinner
you
now.
guys are getting paid?
But yeah, if you're listening to this podcast and you live in the state of Florida and you play competitive golf, you know that the FSGA has this insane rule where a golfer and a caddy can't ride in the cart at the same time, and the golfers have to take the cart. So it's just funny whenever I play in FSGA sanctioned events that I'm just in the cart zipping up 100 yards in the fairways in front of Skyler, and Skyler's just
He's
behind.
just trotting right behind you.
Yeah,
What is the logic behind that
If
rule?
someone could explain that to me, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, FSGA, you got to give us an answer.
Somebody at FSGA, please.
It
Tag him
is
in the
crazy.
comments.
They've always done that, Cam. I don't know why, but it's always been caddy and player can't ride in the cart together, and caddy can't ride in the cart at all. So as a player, if somebody is caddying for you, like you could just give the cart to your playing partner, and just walk with your caddy if you want to do that. But yeah, it never made any sense to me. I have no clue why that was a rule, because you're still going to be like, your caddy is going to be helping you.
Right.
So
That's the point of the caddy.
yes, correct. So just allow them to ride in the cart if need be. Like it's not a big deal.
Just let them walk. You can't even do that. The
Right.
clubs must be on a cart. You can't. I couldn't even carry the clubs if I wanted.
Oh, I didn't know that.
At FSGA events, the cart that has to be on the cart, and the player has to take the cart.
The clubs have to stay on the cart. So the caddy can't be on the cart whatsoever. So the caddy can't just carry the bag and then the player just ride in the cart occasionally, because it just
Right.
makes no sense. So Bag has to stay on the cart at all times, and caddy cannot hop on the cart at any moment. So it just makes no sense. By the time the
So
caddy
weird.
gets up to your ball, you've already shot the distance, probably
Like,
pulled your club.
I know what I'm doing, dude. Like,
Yeah.
sorry you just walked all this way, but here's what
Mainly
I'm
just
doing.
go ahead and head up to the green and start reading like where this ball might end up.
Or
Yeah, I
being a
guess
four
at
caddy.
that point, do you
Essentially a
just
four
four caddy and
Yes.
jump up the fairway while they hit?
Yeah, basically. So yeah, I never really understood that. Is the Florida Open FSGA?
Yes.
Yeah.
So you had to do that.
Yes.
Where was that at this year?
Jacaranda down
Well, that
south?
was the qualifying.
Well, the qualifier. The actual
gonna say, I've
Open was
never
in
heard of
Golden,
Where was it?
Golden Ocala.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, they played the actual event there a couple weeks back.
Shout out Tim Hunt.
Shout out Tim. Shout out all of our Ocala listeners. Shout out Ricky Page.
Ricky.
Such
Do these guys know Ricky?
I do.
Skyler
Sure
does.
Kelly does.
I don't think Paul does.
He hit into me one time at an event, and we got beef now. So Ricky, if you're listening,
To be Skyler, so we were playing.
blasted
Have
a
you got-
3-wood.
Have you guys played Hawks Landing in Orlando?
Yeah.
Paul or Skyler? Yeah.
Yeah.
What hole was it? It was on the back nine. It's like the first par five that you get to.
I thought it was 10 or 11. It was pretty early.
Yeah, but
In the
it's got
back
the
end.
water in front of the green and stuff. And we're sitting in the fairway, me, Ricky, and like two other guys. Cam's in the group ahead of us. Ricky has not found the center of the club face all day. Can't even hit it like remotely straight. Like everything's off the course. So we're sitting in the fairway. We're like 290 out. And Ricky's like, I'm going to hit 3-wood. And it's how many of were there like 30 of us playing or 20 of us? There's a bunch of us.
Not
that were in this group.
Hawks. There's probably 4 groups.
Okay. So, but like we're kind of stacked up against each other, and
Yeah.
Ricky has not made solid contact all day. And I'm like, Ricky, we're not waiting for the green to clear. We're 290. Just hit the fucking 3-wood. So he hits, and Cam and like the rest of the guys are like standing right
We
next
had
to
the
pit.
2 biggest people in Florida on the green at the same time, and me
Yes.
and Dan.
This
And
is true.
The ball just rolls up right in between us. We look back, and I'm like, I can barely see them in the fairway.
They're just
Yeah.
telling you to hurry up. That's not what you get into.
I probably
it's
had
one of
already
those-
picked up at that point. So
He hit it, and we just kind of stood there in silence because he hits this high towering ball flight, and it was that.
You just knew, like, oh damn.
there was no 4 to be heard. By the way,
No.
guys.
Because we were just like, as it's like reaching its peak, I'm like, did you hit that good? He was like, I nutted it, and then it dropped, and it was right next to him. So like, there was no time.
It was such a good
I was just
shot.
amazed
It
that
was
he had
such a
caught
good
it.
shot.
Solid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the shot.
Such a good shot. Yeah.
What
That's my
about-
Ricky
so-
Page story? So
I think that we might have told that a couple times on here now.
at least 3.
That's probably it. So what's the plan for like the Dakotas tour? So this will be the first event that you play in this one. Is that correct?
Yep. And the plan overall is just like I'm kind of using this first year of like turning professional just to kind of get a little bit bearings. I'm kind of like what the different mini tours are like, kind of wanting to like seeing like how to set my schedule for next year if I don't have PGA Tour status and stuff like that. But I'm only playing in two Dakotas tour events overall, so I'll play these two.
Okay.
Then I'll head overseas to London to play in the Clutch Pro Tour, which is just one of the mini tours over there. And then I've got Q School the 3rd week of September. So hopefully just
trying to gear up for that.
Exactly. Just, use these mini tours as a great way to kind of gain some experience, see where the game's at, all that kind of stuff, learn how to travel and practice and play as a professional and all that kind of stuff. But then hopefully make a little bit of money and then just get ready for Q School in about month and a half now.
Where, for ignorance might pop out here, where's the Q School at? Like, where are you going to be for that?
I'll be in Greenville, Alabama.
Okay.
Where's Greenville? Excuse my ignorance.
I don't really know at all.
A little bit.
Somewhere in
shout out
Alabama, we know that much. So.
We will be somewhere in Alabama in the 3rd week of September. But it'll be Corn Ferry Q School.
Cool.
Okay, nice. So walk us through the Corn Ferry Q School, because I mean I'm not too familiar with Corn Ferry Q School. I assumed it was all like one Q School, and if you made it at a certain point, you got Corn Ferry, and then if you made it a little further, you got PGA Tour.
Yeah. So for listeners who are maybe not the biggest golf enthusiasts or anything
There's
like
going to be
that,
zero. There's zero.
fair enough.
There's at least there's one.
Q school is qualifying
Fair.
school, so there's like 3 different PGA sanctioned, let's call them leagues. There's the PGA Americas, which now is the combine of PGA Latin America and PGA Canada. Their qualifying school this year, it was a completely, not necessarily new format, but just since they combined, this was actually in May of this last year. And then there'll be qualifying school for the Korn Ferry Tour, which is basically the level right below the PGA Tour and the level above the PGA Americas. And then there's, of course, the PGA Tour, which you'll have your Q school for the PGA Tour, which is the highest level of all, best golf on the planet, and the also way to make the most money playing professional golf as well, too.
So how many stages is the Korn Ferry one?
This will be 4 stages of Q school. So right now, since I don't have any status or anything like that, I've got to compete in the pre-qualifying stage. That's essentially my stage 1. But then the pre-qualifying stage will turn into stage 1, and then I have to go past stage 1 to stage 2, and then after stage 2, you have final stage of Korn Ferry qualifying.
Okay. And these stages they're tournaments.
Yeah, stages. Yeah, these are 4-day tournaments each time.
4-day tournaments with cuts, all that good stuff.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
No cuts.
It's all in Alabama.
No, this stage 1 will be in Alabama, but then stage 2 will be somewhere else. Kind
of wherever. Yeah. Okay. Because they have these different Q schools happening throughout the U.S., right? It's not
exactly. Yeah. For they give you basically 10 different options you can choose from, and you rank those options 1 through 10 on preferences where you want to play based on, location, and then based on dates as well too.
That sounds similar to like, when Eddie was trying to qualify for the U.S. Open. Like he's like, I had to rank my 4 next stops if I do make it. And you want to go to these places, probably end up on your 4th ranked one because everyone's probably ranking them the same. So
exactly.
Now, do you get anything from the Korn Ferry Q school? Like if you make it to stage 3, do you get any sort of like unconditional status on like the Americas on either the Latin or Canadian tour, or no?
That's a really good question. From my understanding, I don't believe so. But potentially, I don't think so.
Because I believe for the PGA Q school, if you get to like 3rd stage, or you get to skip like 1st stage next year.
You go right to stage 3 or whatever next year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So it sounds like that's probably the most important golf you'll play this year is that Q school. Yeah.
Q school for sure.
Cool.
Yeah. No pressure or anything.
Yeah, not at all.
I don't feel any pressure. So, I mean, I'm just kidding, guys. That's cool.
Skyler, are you going with Paul overseas?
I'm not.
Are you going to go to London?
I'm back in Florida.
How long are you going to be in London for, Paul?
I'll just be in London for about 5 or 6 days. It's just for
that one event.
It's just a 2-day event, about 45 minutes south of London.
Gotcha. Have you looked into any of the mini tours over there? Is it like similar where there's like a handful that are kind of above the rest?
From my understanding and kind of the talk from other professionals, yeah. The Clutch Pro Tour, I've heard good things about it. I've heard anything from the Alps Pro Tour as well too.
Sounds beautiful.
We just compete against in the summer. You basically travel from France to Switzerland to Italy, and
man, that sounds miserable.
It sounds like a tough life. It sounds like a tough life for all the European professionals over there. But something that I've heard randomly is, and it's not called the Sunshine Tour, but it's something related to sun. But it's essentially the South African.
Oh yeah, okay.
So it might be the Sunshine Tour, but it's a South African mini tour. I hear that's one of the more competitive mini tours you can play as a professional, and one of the more prestigious mini tours you can play globally as well too, because that feeds directly into the Challenge Tour and then the DP World Tour as well too.
I think it is called the Sunshine Tour in South Africa.
Sunshine. So so that's something kind of on my radar as well, where if I don't have any sort of Korn Ferry or PGA status, after Q school, then within the next year or year and a half, I will be playing in South Africa as well too, to try to hopefully gain status on the Challenge Tour or DP World Tour as well.
Nice. And Skylar, you know a bit of Afrikaans, right?
Right. Yeah, no, I've
So that works
been
out.
studying up. This is the first time hearing of potentially going to South Africa, but
For a guy who's very scared of flying, he doesn't have a great time because we're going to be flying everywhere across the world.
Yeah.
It's
So Skylar, are you do you caddy, at a club when you're not, with Paul here, or what
at
do you
the
do?
moment, no. I'm working at a new course in Port St. Lucie, but I was offered a spot at the Bears Club starting in winter. So I got to talk to the caddy master. I actually called him today, left him a voicemail. He's supposed to call me back, and we'll figure out when that starts up. But yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead.
I have to imagine, it's happened before, right? The caddy master will work with you. They know your goals about, your partner with Paul here quite a bit. So you're able to be like, hey, I'm going to be gone for the next 6 weeks at Q school or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's like A-okay, right?
I sure hope so. That was one of the big draws to doing the Bears Club.
one of the main questions he's waiting to get answered.
That's actually what I left a voicemail about today. Yeah.
Well, but so the reason I ended up even getting this was caddied for a different guy for the U.S. Open local qualifier, was paired with a Bears Club caddy caddying for one of the Bears Club assistant pros. We just started chatting. He was leaving. They had an empty spot. And that was one of the big questions was, is this somewhere I need to be 5 days a week, double bagging 36?
Right.
Or is there going to be an option if there's a big tournament like Q School in September that I can leave for a few days? And it does seem like that's a good spot to do it. On top of the fact that so many pros play out of there.
Yeah, I was going to say it's also Bears Club.
It is the Bears Club. Ton of pros play out of there. There are lots of stories of guys, their caddy's sick or something happened and they need to take somebody, and it's a good opportunity.
Pluck somebody from the club. That's pretty cool.
Exactly. So it should be a very good experience.
Cool.
What's the so what would be the ultimate goal? Is it that Liv calls and is like, hey, Paul, we saw you just came in 12th in the Dakotas tour.
In Okoboji.
Right.
We were high in this Okoboji tournament.
Yeah.
We're gonna offer you $250,000. Is it just like, yeah, done? Of course. Or do you hold out like
If Liv's offering, 250, don't get me wrong, that's a very nice payday. But we're gonna need like full status on top of that.
Sure.
And I'll join some.
What if it was like free agent, the AK route? You get 250 up front.
It could happen. But yeah, the overall goal is to play golf at the highest level, and become one of the best players in the world. So whether that's on the DP World Tour, whether it's on the PGA Tour, whether it's on Liv, I know everybody's got their own opinions on Liv. I think it's really challenged like the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour, and a lot of things, and helped it grow and kind of pushed up the PGA Tour's timeline to actually like pay players a lot more money, and then also maybe expand the game or think about different formats like 5 years ahead of maybe what the PGA Tour would have done. So yeah, just the overall goal is to just play golf at the highest level and be one of the best in the world. So whether that's on Liv, whether that's on DP, whether that's on PGA, I've got a lot of belief in myself, but I'll be honest, the game's not quite there yet, but it doesn't mean that we still can't get there one day.
What if Ian Poulter called you and was like, hey, I'll take you on my team, but your caddy cannot come with you? He creeps me out.
It's just because I'm sitting here, he's going to say no, but it's an immediate yes. It's such an easy yes.
That actually is a hard one because
same terms, not the biggest payday.
My game is kind of at its best when Skyler's on the bag because he knows my game's tendencies. He knows my tendencies as a human. He's very funny. He knows how to calm me down. He tells jokes. So it would be hard to part ways, but I think Skyler's kind of right where it's there are a decent amount of caddies out there.
Does he act surprised when you approach the ball, like when you approach on the wrong side of the golf ball every time? Like, is it shocking?
I mean, I could just be a lefty bias, but I think that every right-handed player wants to be left-handed. Lefty swings look a lot smoother. They look kind of a lot cooler. And I've been approached by a lot of right-handed players saying, I kind of wish I was left-handed. I've never thought once in my life, I wish I was right-handed.
Do you do everything lefty? Like
most things. I throw a football and baseball with my right hand, but most other things left-handed.
See, if you threw a baseball left-handed, you might have gone down the pro baseball route as a pitcher, because that's the ticket right there.
Yeah. I mean, I could have gone down the pro baseball route, but just decided to pick.
There's still time, Paul.
There's still time, and
knows?
at Valley Nail 2 weeks ago, I was the catcher, and he was throwing some heat, so he might get a call.
This arm's
Wait, what are we talking about?
A nice 48. This arm's got a 48 to the upper left corner.
Fantastic. I had one more question. Oh, what's the typical kind of like how much are you spending kind of like on a weekly basis? Do you have any idea like what's coming out on some of these like mini tour events and everything?
Yeah.
Just like an average kind of breakdown.
No, you're good. So if it's usually like a 1 or 2 day event, the entry fee will be anywhere in the range of like $400 to $600, and then the purse will be anywhere in the range of $5,000 to the winner to $10,000 to $15,000 for the winner. For 3 or 4 day events, the entry fee will be closer to the $1,000, maybe $950, anywhere up to $1,200. And then the purse, depending on the size of the field and sponsors and all that kind of stuff, to the winner will be anywhere in the range of probably $15,000 to $20,000, maybe sometimes $30,000. It's expensive, no doubt. When you factor in all of the travel, all of the tournament registration fees, if you finish within the money and you have a caddy, you're giving a caddy at least 7 to 10%, depending on how good his negotiation skills are.
So 0% for
Skyler's just there to have fun, apparently.
So really, I think, and you guys could have many guests on this podcast who play on the mini tours. I don't think you're going to find a lot of them that make a lot of money.
Sure.
And in a really good mini tour season, you'll probably make anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 for the year. Once you factor in all the travel costs and expenses. On a good season, you'll probably break even. And on a not so good season, you're, losing anywhere in the range.
You're hemorrhaging money at that point.
Exactly. It's like, you're like, oh, I just, there, you have this amount of money in your savings account. And then at the end of the season, you're just like, I had a lot more than 50,000 when I started the season, and then you just lose it all. So it's expensive, like I said, just to, you factor in travel cost, and you're staying in like random hotels and Airbnb for 2 or 3 days. So that starts to rack up and all that kind of stuff.
What's been some of the things that like, if you're kind of thinking that like cost is a factor, what are some of the things that you guys have like really like? Is it Super 8 motels? Is it McDonald's for 2 meals or cookout? I don't know if there's cookout.
You can't be picky on where you stay. It sometimes is some motels, or you're eating fast food a lot of the time on the road. Thankfully, I think as the game of golf has grown and as mini tours have kind of gotten better over the years, I've heard a lot of stories of how people establish like host families and host houses. So if you kind of know like a general schedule and you make connections, you say, hey, like, I know I'm going to be in Okoboji, Iowa at this time of the year. I'll reach out to like the tournament director, or if you've played in this tournament, like for the past 2 or 3 years, you maybe meet some locals around town, and next year the locals will host you, and that helps you save like a couple $100 every week and stuff like that. So there definitely are ways to make it more cost effective, whether that's carpooling with like a group of 3 or 4 other professionals and, making a long like 10 or 12 hour drive or something like that, or splitting like the cost of like a house with like 10 guys or something like that, or stuff like that. But thankfully over the years, and from my experience, a lot of the people in these small towns that a lot of the mini tours go to, they're very gracious when they host a lot of the players, and they'll let you stay in just like an extra bedroom for free or something like that. So we're not going to do that this Okoboji trip, but in the next this tour event, I'm staying with a host family who's got a whole extra guest house,
Sure.
and all that kind of stuff.
Now, does Skyler have to sleep? Does Skyler sleep outside if like you're staying with a host family, or is he allowed inside as well?
He's allowed inside
If we shoot under par.
But yeah, no. Thankfully, we haven't had to share a bed yet. But I think he.
Not that he hasn't asked yet, of course.
Right. We're currently sitting on the pull-out twin that I thought I was going to have to sleep on in Okoboji. Thankfully, there are 2 beds here.
There are 2 beds.
Well, real quick, if you guys could, Paul, I'll start with you, and then Skyler, you can try to think of something while Paul's talking. Can we just get like the lowest low of the last like year and a half, and then the highest high, whether it be like golf shot, bad event, awful food, great food experience, something like that. You guys could give us something like that.
Yeah, it's a solid question. I'm really grateful for this experience, and just I get the opportunity to play professional golf every day, but it's definitely brought some low lows and then some high highs as well. Probably some low lows was playing like a back-to-back minor league tour in South Florida and shooting both scores in the 80s, and just no clue where my game was at all. I mean, I haven't shot over 80 in competitive events back-to-back, and who knows how long. I could probably go back to when I was like 13, 14 years old, maybe 15. So that wasn't very fun.
And when was this? Because you started, so September 23 is when you turned professional, but obviously last year.
And this event, I was actually, when was this? Was like February or March?
Of this year?
Yeah,
this year.
Oh, man.
So that wasn't very fun. And then at the final stop of the Dominican mini tour, it was a 4-day event at Corrales, the first tee. And this is, this was so I get to Corrales, play the practice round, couldn't strike the ball better. We're talking a ball striking clinic. I've got the ball on a rope, slight cuts all day,
piss missiles,
and then so we go into it. That's just the practice round, lots of confidence, and then we go up to the warm up session. An hour before the tee time, same kind of thing, just striking the ball. I'm like, okay, let's just go win this thing. Get up to the first tee, and for those who haven't played Corrales, it's normal. It's probably about a 420-yard par 4. The wind is usually off the ocean, so it's pumping off the right, like probably about 20 miles an hour. There's a huge sand pit that runs all up along the right side of the first hole. But I'm still thinking in my head, hey, like I'm striking the ball so well, like let's just go and rip this. Pump the first one like 30 yards left. Into some native grass or something like that. So I re-tee, hit it on the exact same line. Couldn't have dropped it any better on the 7th turn. At that point, I don't hit another one. We just try to go find those 2 balls. Don't find any of those balls. So now
you gotta walk back
to the tee, hitting my whatever it is, 5th shot now. But I take 3-wood in hand, and I hit 3-wood. And in front of like all the tournament directors, all the other professionals that
at this point, there's a backup.
These are all everyone's waiting. There's like some small spectators. I chunk Sky a 3-wood like 100 feet like in the air, like it barely dribbles out to the fairway. And so I've got like 290 in, and I'm thinking to at this point I'm just rattled. I've no idea where I am, and I'm thinking to myself like, all right, let's just rip another 3-wood. So I try to rip another 3-wood, pull hook it right into some bushes, have to take an unplayable. I then whiff my unplayable, so then that adds a stroke, and then I punch it out into the bunker in front of the green, sky that one out like over the green, and don't get up and down. And
so we're like at 12, 13 strokes.
For everyone who's good at math, it was a 13. But then
I played
the next 71 holes at 1 under par. So
that's strong.
It was, it was a slight setback for a slight comeback, or a major setback for a slight comeback.
Yeah.
But that was.
How did the rest of that round go? Is what I'm curious about.
I parred the next hole. It was par 3. The next round went okay. I think I probably shot like 2 over the next 17 holes. But starting off with the 13 kind of dampens.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough to recover from. So that was a bit of a low. But then
That's amazing.
in terms of high, I've also played a lot of solid golf, set some personal records that I haven't shot in competitive rounds before. You know, we were in Illinois about a month and a half ago playing an all-pro event, and pretty scoreable conditions after the first day, but I didn't play like that great. I think I shot like a 1 or 2 over, 73, 74. And usually for the 2-day cut for a lot of mini tour events will be anywhere from like 3 under to like 5 under. So, you know, if you shoot 2 over the first day, you know, you've kind of got some work in to put the second day cut. And then second day, just play really well again, just ball striking really solid, and then make a run on the back 9, birdie 15, 16, 17, or birdie.
Bogeyed 15, came back with a solid birdie on 16, 17.
Yeah.
We're now at 5 under for the round. Going into 18, he asked me where the leaderboard was and what we needed to do. It's a par 5. We knew we had to make birdie, and just an unfortunate bit of a pull with the tee ball. Couldn't get it up on the green. Tried to chip it in for the 4, but made it, you know, just your stock par that missed it by 1. So
yeah, that was solid. Even though I missed the cut, it was a good round for the confidence. And then I've had a lot of highs just about the people I've met throughout my travels on these mini tours. I've been very grateful to meet a lot of interesting people and a lot of nice, welcoming people that I think I've developed some pretty incredible friendships thus far. So to end on a little bit of a wholesome note, though, that's some highs of just the people I've met traveling, and then also just like I said, I get to wake up every day doing exactly what I love. Like I feel like, you know, all the avid golfers out there listening, like, you know, you would give up a lot of things if you could wake up every day and just go play golf or, you know, go practice and go grind and just do all the things that like us golfers all love to do. So the fact that I get to do that each and every day, like that's a pretty damn high. And even like my bad days where just like if I miss cuts or, you know, make a 13 on a hole or shoot in the 80s, like, yeah, sure, it sucks. Like, you know, it's not fun, it's embarrassing, but at the same time, like you put it all in the greater perspective and you realize that like I get to wake up every day and do what I love. So that's definitely a high.
Yeah, a bad day, you know, on the golf course is much better than a bad day at your tech sales job. So.
Exactly.
Palmer.
Yeah, I think that was definitely either Arnold or Jack that said that one. So
right.
Yeah. Skyler, what about you? What's a low and a high?
A couple weeks ago, we played the Colorado Open. Started off with a bogey, just kind of a bit of a pull on the approach shot on 1. Didn't get it up and down, but got it back to 1 under through 9. Feeling really good, hitting good tee balls, good putts. And then on 10, kind of missed a wedge and 4 putted for double.
Oh, God.
Thanks for reminding me about that, Lola. I missed like a tap in, like legitimately this far. Like I literally like kind of like tripped trying to go put the putt in, and it just like I missed like literally like a 6-inch putt.
We've had this conversation before because it happened in the Colorado Open qualifying 3 years ago, and he was supposed to have marked every small putt. Now still, missed the 6-incher. We go ahead.
It happens.
We make double. We're 1 over. We know we got to get into a groove. The next hole is a par 5. Good drive, decent iron, good chip shot. Missed a 3.5 footer, and it's just the head wasn't in it at that point. You know, just mentally out of it. You know, you got to make everything, and so that was kind of surprising to see him get upset. He doesn't do that. So that was a low. Really wanted to play in that event. Home state, good purse. Wanted to make it happen. But then the high was Illinois a couple weeks before that. You know, we know it was not a good day the first day. Second day we're out there. We know we got to make a run and made a good effort at it. He hit tremendous shots, made some really clutch putts. 16, 17 are not the easiest of birdie holes out there, but to stuff it on 16, make the putt, 17, hit a great 7-iron and drain that, knowing you have a chance going into 18 is very good to see. It just looked effortless. So,
well, and that's one of the things too that kind of keeps you going, right? Is like knowing that you can be out there and compete. Right, like that just makes it so much easier to wake up the next day and try.
For sure.
Yeah.
You know, we've touched on the Colorado Open. So the course they play the Colorado Open on, Teddy's fully public, Green Valley Ranch. What do you all think about the hole with the tree in the middle of right in front of the green?
That's so stupid.
You're talking about 16.
We played it.
Is it at the end 16? Yeah.
We played it a week and a half ago, and we had a foursome. We all hit between 9 and 8 irons off the tee and all had a sand wedge in. It's a really silly hole. The further up you get, you're so blocked out. You want to just hit a good short iron and then a wedge in. It's a really silly
It's
one.
Can you not hit driver like under it or like skirt through it or anything
It's
like that?
very tight.
Yeah.
It's like
tight.
it's like probably what 40 yards off the green, but it's directly in front of the green.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you have a 100-yard wedge shot, you're right at the tree, you're screwed. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
You got to lay something back because the green is kind of set up left of the big tree. So if you're far enough back, you still have a short wedge, but you have an angle. If you try to get aggressive and get a shorter one in, you just can't do anything.
Yeah. What's is there a bunker or anything? Can you go under the tree? Is what I'm asking. Like, can you just chase something
on your second shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a little bit of like bunkers in front of the green. You can't really go under the tree.
Oh.
Like, there's pretty like thick rough like that kind of lead up to it. Like it really
they force you to hit a
it's
9-iron off the tee.
It's just an odd hole where it's like even if you like lay up with like a 7-iron, but you pull the 7-iron too far right, you still could be like blocked out by these big trees and stuff like that.
One thing to note, Teddy, is I'm hitting driver on that hole every time because it's me and I got a 40 yard we'll call it a cut. But I overall like Green Valley Ranch, and a hot topic that comes up in golf right now, especially, is the greens or the trees in front of greens or in the middle of fairways. So I figured I'd bring that one up. But
Green Valley Ranch is very solid. And I also want to give a shout out to Davis Bryant for winning the Colorado Open. He's a golfer that I grew up playing with, and couldn't be a nicer kid. And then he's also he's got the best short game I've ever seen. So for all you golf listeners out there, if you want someone to go follow and support, go follow Davis Bryant. We're going to be seeing him on Sundays on TV on the highest level pretty soon here. He's on the mini tours right now, but like me, he'll be at Q School pretty soon, and he's got more than enough game to compete every day. Not only phenomenal short game, ball strikes the heck out of it. Just such a consistent cut every time. And he's one of the hardest workers in the game. So shout out Davis for winning the Colorado Open.
That helps.
Very nice. Someone at Davis Bryant. CSU grad Davis Bryant. When I first moved to Colorado, well, not first moved, but I was like, let's go check out this Colorado Open. That was my first time seeing Green Valley Ranch. They've got an awesome like par 3 course too that you can go out and play full trackman range, Teddy. It'd be a great spot to have like our clubhouse events.
Right. Or the annual PMC collective.
Oh, a little get together, a little PMC classic.
Maybe a little fundraiser.
Don't tell me.
We could do it. What is your hat, Skyler?
Holderness and Bourne. It's a transfusion. It's one of their logos.
Okay. I couldn't tell. I thought maybe it was the orange from Cabot Citrus Farms.
Speaking of, Teddy, how was that last weekend? You get rained on?
Well, yeah. So we were supposed to go. What's today? Monday. We were supposed to go yesterday, but the storm was coming through, and it was coming right through.
Storm.
It was coming right through Brooksville. We were going to get rained out again. I didn't want to drive the 3 hours just to get another rain check. So we're going towards the end of August now,
Nice.
24th or 25th, sometime around there.
Paul and Skyler, have you gotten out there at all? Cabot Citrus?
I haven't been out to Cabot. I've heard a lot of good things about it, though. Everyone loves the course.
I mean, from what I saw,
though, I hear the greens are just wildly firm.
Yes, I think from what I saw, I only saw 6 holes, but only one of the 6 holes was like radically different than from before when it was Rollwoods.
Yeah,
so it was kind of nice in that regards because it was. I mean, you guys played it before, right, Skyler? I know you did.
Yeah, you and I have played it many times.
Yeah. And it was a.
I've never played.
Yeah, I don't think Paul
Pine something.
World Woods, but there were
World
2
Woods,
courses.
cool.
Pine Barrens was the one that.
Yeah, no, never played.
Yeah. But it had some really good holes. They just weren't taking care of it fully. But so it was pretty similar to how it was before. They just added like those waste areas, and then obviously they
Well, that's Cabot's thing, right? They acquire like good pieces of land and then just do what they want to it to make it kind of not resorty but destination, right?
Destination. Yeah, I imagine they'll have all the resources to make it kind of what they want. And I don't know, from kind of word of mouth and from what I've heard, it's it's interesting where I think they're kind of developing Cabot to cater to, I would say, the large mass of golfers that are in like the 17 to 25 handicap range, which makes very smart financial sense because that's again where 95% of the golfers on this planet play in that range. But I think it kind of just the way they went about designing the course and the way they go about designing the whole overall golf experience as well really caters to that part of the golfing world.
Well, they give you a cookie on the first tee.
Sold to me. I don't know if you can tell, but I like cookies, so
could have left right after I had that.
Sign me up. I have one question for you, Skyler. As an up and coming caddy myself, what is your favorite part about overall just caddying for Paul?
Well, I know his game, so it's fun to be able to tell him what I think and then see it happen. That's a big thing. Is I love this game. I know this game, but I don't have the ability to put the golf swing on it as consistently as he does. So to give him a good number, and we talk about the elements, and then just say, this is the club, this is the number, hit it here, and then see it happen is very, very fun.
So that process and the result from that process.
It's a little rewarding as well, because a lot of what he and I do the majority of, I just tell him a number and where we're hitting it. I don't tell him necessarily why. So I've got to get up to it, get the number, factor in elements, where we're trying to hit it, where the pin is, this and that. And so it's rewarding to see it work out.
Very cool.
Cam, what do you try to do when you caddy? What's the most rewarding thing?
I try to keep up with everybody else.
Sure, fair.
And then I try to stay hydrated.
Yeah.
And then just keep them clubs clean.
Do you remind the player that you're caddying for to be hydrated and to eat a snack? And
No. They're reminding me of those things. Unfortunately.
Fair. Very smart.
I caddied for a good friend of mine at the Colorado Amateur Championship, CGA Amateur Championship, down at the Air Force Academy.
Nice.
And it was about 1,000,000 degrees, at the hottest part of the day.
Yeah. I've played the course many times. It's in a heater.
Yeah. It's a really cool course.
Yeah.
I'd love to play it. I was zero help on the greens because I'd look at Eddie. I'm like, why are you aimed way over here? What are we doing? The putt's not going that way. And of course, he's the much better golfer. And he would hit the putt, and I'd be like, oh, I guess the ball does go that way. So I just stopped looking at putts, and I was just, let's get this ball clean, get it back in his hand, and let him go ahead and hit it.
Done and put it back.
Yeah. No, it's a lot of fun. I find a lot of joy, especially when he hits a good shot, even if I had nothing to do with it. Just seeing that result, and
yeah, you're invested in it.
Thinking I helped even just getting the number for him, reading the green sheet. He did chunk a wedge, but ended up holing it out from 78 yards on number 10, which was really cool. I hadn't got goosebumps like that in a long time from something like that, and I was like,
and you just had a kid not too long
ago. It only takes about 6 months for that to wear off. When they're screaming at you and pooping all over. So, and not just, he's 3.5 now, so we're
sorry,
we're well versed in the parenthood now. So. But I think that's really all I had, man. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your schedule and
this has been
busyness to come hop on with us.
Fellas.
Teddy, you got anything else? Are we closing this out here?
No, I think we're good. I think that was very informative. Hopefully that shed some light to everybody on what you guys are kind of having to go through and what a lot of other guys are having to as well. Hopefully this deters some others from joining those purses.
Bring them on. The more people that play, bigger the purses.
Yeah. Paul, I gotta imagine you've got like an Instagram. You wanna put your handle out there, let people follow you.
For sure. My Instagram handle, you can find me at PCLE6522, and you can also find me at Player Performance JPC. So I need to do a better job about it, but I'll post kind of what the journey's been like for me and all the kind of stuff. So you can definitely follow my journey as a professional golfer at both those handles.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Well, I guess I think that wraps it up. Thanks again, gentlemen. We appreciate it. Listeners, we're the Pitchmark Collective on Instagram, YouTube, and Spotify. Should be up on Apple Podcasts here in the next week or so too. They're very difficult to work with. I'll leave it at that. Thank you guys, and we'll talk to y'all next time.
Appreciate it,
Fellas.
fellas. Cheers.
Take care.